simple living's valued, she'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years and let her sew again.
Oh, welcome back to the work table, and I want to introduce you to this amazing machine. Again, found her on Facebook Marketplace and have some pictures that I will throw up. What makes her so unbelievably fabulous to me is, judging by her serial number, she is an 1895 Singer 15. And from what I can tell, 1895 was the first year that a 15 became a 15, you know. There was a lot of components that were similar, but they were under slightly different names, slightly different numbers. But the 15, that model, you know, that is still being made in India and things like that, that, you know, has millions and millions and millions of these. This was the inaugural year for the 15. So she's amazing. She's got this little bulge right here that I just terribly love. She is a treadle-only machine. She has no boss back here, so you can't put a hand crank on the machine. So she's got to go back into a treadle table. Her paint down here is terrible. It is down to the bare metal. Her decals down here are terrible. Her decals up here are pretty good, except for right in the middle of the Sphinx, it's totally gouged out. I threaded her up, turned the handrail just to see if she sews. That's the first thing. Because I knew that she wasn't frozen, her wheel was turning, but does she sew? And I can tell you that she does. So that is a major start. Now, she turns very, very stiffly, and she does need to be worked. She needs to be totally cleaned, but I don't think there's anything broken in her. So that's a great thing. I think all of her parts are here. She just needs a major refurb. But if you could see here on my little tester, I did this row of stitches, which was a very, very small stitch length. She did great. My plan is I am going to make her mechanically fabulous. I am going to, I know, clutch your pearls, ladies, because I'm going to strip her paint, give her a nice filler primer base, and give her a paint job of royal blue, and then put brand new Sphinx decals all over her, because I think she deserves the royal treatment. She is the queen, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. This video is pretty much just going to be taking her apart and starting the major cleaning and everything of the machine itself. First, I just want to give you a close-up view. I mean, we're at the bare metal here, all around the edges. There's metal showing all over. Where there's not metal, the paint is very thin. Where there is paint, you know, but she's not broken. And when I saw her, they just had this head of this machine on a concrete floor. I have actually cleaned her up already. She was very dusty. Just sitting on a concrete floor, you know, no cover, no case, no table, no nothing, just the head laying there. And, you know, I had to have her, so here she is. So, yeah, I'm just going to start taking pieces apart, doing like I usually do. Let me get my little tote. So my standard process is I have a plastic tote here that I'm just going to set under my camera so you don't see it. And piece by piece, I take them apart, and I have a bunch of sandwich bags, you know, and if they're clean enough, I reuse them. And so as I take a little component section or something apart, I put that piece along with the screws or whatever pieces that come with it. I put that into its own little sandwich bag and put it in my tote so nothing gets lost and all of the right screws stay with the right parts. I'm looking at the little plate down here, and the last patent date that's on this plate is 1893. So this is the original plate that goes along with this serial number, so that's good. So yeah, let me get my screwdrivers and we're just going to get started lovingly taking her apart. First thing, all of the little pieces that are going to go for the needle and the presser foot. I'm going to put all of this and this into one baggie. I am saving the original needle that came with it. I like to keep those just for posterity, so I stick that into a little piece of yoga mat that I have down here on my work table and put them all away. And, oh, that's on tight. I can tell there's going to be a lot of screws on her that are going to be on very tight, because even this presser foot is on tight. It does not have the 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 stamp on it. It looks very prototype-ish. The little toes are a little more squared than on the typical newer ones. Very squared off. Now, just taking this off, everything is filthy. It's like beyond filthy. The oil has turned into tar, and there's huge, thick layers of it. So everything's going to need a super, super cleaning. I'm gonna get a lot of stuff soaking here pretty soon. But I'm putting it into their individual baggies uncleaned, and that way I will just take one baggie out, clean it, dry it, and put it back in. One little section at a time to keep it all organized. Okay, so I am going to be following the Bob Fowler method. And according to his method, the first thing I do is disconnect this linkage right here. So he says this goes here, and it's just a jam nut. So there we go, it's loose, yay. I am very thankful for the world of YouTube instructors out there who can help guide us through these things. Very, very gooey here. In case you're wondering, I've actually had this machine here for a couple weeks, and the night I got her, I gave her a quick cleaning and just saturated her with oil, because she was, what wasn't tar was bone dry. So she's had, you know, a couple weeks to sit there soaking in the sewing machine oil I put on her, and I can tell you that that is really helping already with loosening things up. So the screw that I took out of there, it's this very tapered one here, and that goes into this bolt, which is going away. And now I'm going to take off this nut, which goes into an eccentric screw right here. But I am curious if they are the same size, because if they are, I don't want to get them confused. So here is this one. I might just label them differently on the baggies so I know which one is which, because they look very similar to me. At this point, I think the way that I can tell the difference is this one has a bolt that is 3/8, and the other one's bolt is slightly larger. So if I have to compare it, 3/8 goes here, okay? I'm going to take this slide plate off, but it is, I don't have a really good place to just flick it off, and I don't want these blades to bend or crack, so I am just going to be loosening up these screws on the bottom here. Let me get my magnet to keep track of them so that I can just take it off, clean it properly, and then when it comes time for me to put it back on, I can just, excuse me, reassemble the little blade onto the back of my plate. But that's pretty grungy. I don't know if this is the original bobbin case, but that's what was in there, so I'm keeping it. This was is a modern bobbin. It's just one I have in my sewing room, so I was using that when I was trying it out. But I'm going to keep that in there with it, and then next I'm going to be working on moving the bobbin race out. Next I'm going to be taking off these 2 screws to try to take this off as one big piece. Okay, and it comes off really nicely. Very grungy in there, but looks intact. So I'm going to put this with its assorted screws in its own baggie. Okay, so I have these loosened, this one is loosened. This is the one that we're going to be getting out first, which is called the lifter shaft. And it's going to come out first. All of these have big 9/16 inch nuts on them. This bolt is really tight, but I love these tools because you can set up a ratchet onto the handle. These are the Chapman tools. And it gives me, because I am not as strong as most brutes out there, but it gives me enough leverage that I'm able to untwist things that would normally be a little too tight for me. So I don't know if you can see there's a big screw right here that is very tight. And I can push in with one hand and ratchet with the other. And now it's coming loose. So that is fabulous. So let's see if that's going to be enough to get this rock shaft out. Almost. Okay, it feels loose. Let me get to the next step. And just to show you, this is just the nut that I pulled off, but everything is very goopy. So it's not that it's broken, it's just that it is so glued together and gummed up that it's really struggling. So each and every part will be lovingly treated. Get this back on here so I don't lose it, and let me lift this shaft out of here. So this is the back of the lifter shaft, and this is the front. I thought the front was dirty until I saw the back. So lots of cleaning to do, but that's okay. We've got nothing but time. Okay, so with these 2 pivot screws out, I should be able to lift this arm out. Gross. Okay. So I gotta tell you, this center one here, this is the one I have concerned over, because the only way to get it out is to drive pins out of it. And I personally do not feel confident about driving these pins out, finding replacement pins, and driving replacement pins in. So I think I have enough stuff cleared out from around it that I will be able to get in and completely service this shaft in place, clean it and service it in place, and be able to get to everything behind it, because I need to clean all of this off too. So I am just going to leave this in. I know Bob Fowler pulls it out, but I am going to be leaving this one in. Just, I don't think my nerves could take it if I tried to knock those pins out. So I need to get in here and take the feed dog mechanism out. See my little ratchet, and I can tell you these screws are slightly stripped. So I'm trying my best to be very careful, using the right tool for the right job, and just take my time. I'm going to go ahead and spray a little bit of penetrating oil in there just to try to make everything a little happier. Take my time and get these out. The little ratchet works really well at getting in there for that. Okay, so now that will lift off, and this is where those 2 little stripped screws are going to go. I seriously doubt that I'll find replacements for them, so I'm just going to carefully make the best I can. So now that that is done, I can flip the machine back over. And, well, I need to finish pulling this screw out right here so I can remove this. I don't know how this is going to work, getting this out without having this bar out. That's probably why Bob likes to take that bar out. I think that if I take it apart right here, I should be able to separate it and pull it out that way. Okay, so I am attempting to remove this part of the shaft and see if there's any way I can wiggle this piece out. I don't think there is. I don't think there is. Phooey. Okay, well, give me a second to think about this here. So once again, I am erring on the side of caution, and I will leave this part in here because I can't get this out without getting this out, and I am not pulling those pins out. So this part of the shaft I have out, and I'll be able to clean it really well, and hopefully these two I'll be able to clean really well where they are in here. So back up on top, I am taking off the entire bobbin winding assembly. I'm going to not deal with it disassembling it right now. I'm just going to put it in a bag as is and then deal with this as a separate project at some point. I'm going to take off the faceplate. I have not looked in here yet. Actually, I'm going to take the two things going on here. I'm going to take the tension assembly off first. It looks like this should be the little screw to pull that out. Yes. So I'm going to leave it fully intact and just put it in a bag as is. That way I won't have pieces all over that I can't remember which order they go in. Okay, let's see what's... Oh my gosh, that is gross. I don't even know if you can see in there. It is just, it's the worst I've ever seen anything as far as greased up, you know. That's okay. We're going to clean it. Everything is fixable, and I actually, well, we'll see how this looks when I polish it up. Now I'm going to switch out my bit again, take off the stop motion knob, which should free everything up so I can take off the balance wheel. Again. Oh my goodness. Holy moly. Hang on a second, let me get some heat, or not heat, let me get some leverage on here so I can put a little pressure on this. I saw this trick where you wedge something over here in here, and so I used my handle of my very handy Pampered Chef paring knife, and that stops everything from turning in here. So then, when you're not fighting against this turning, it's easier to pull that off. So I got my grungy little washer, stop motion wheel, and will you come off, please? Hang on a second. Let me put these pieces away and then work on this. Okay, here she is. I just had to push and pull a couple times, and that got enough to be able to pull her off. So yeah, that's pretty grungy, but that's the name of the game. So this is what we have right now. Getting there. And pull off this cover. I've never seen a design like this before with the stars. I love that. So that's gonna get a good polishing. Okay, now we're gonna need to take this off. Okay, I've got her standing up on her nose, and there's a big screw in here that I need to loosen up before I can pull this out. So, I'm gonna need my ratchet. But keeping her up on her nose didn't work for me, especially because I had a turntable under there, and she kept turning. Took the turntable out, kept tipping. So I've laid her down, which gives me more leverage, but I needed more light. So I just ran downstairs and got an extra light so I can try this. I have her soaking this nut, or the screw down here, I have soaking, sorry about that, in penetrating oil. So if that doesn't work, my last resort is heat, but I'm going to try to do this without the heat. I got it! I've got it! Yay! Okay, give me a minute to get this bolt loosened up from here. Once it is loosened, then I should be able to, that's going to let go of the block here that screw in the front is attached with. Okay, so that is this grimy, very long part. Now I need to get the others out of here. Hang on a moment. Get my light. I need to finish loosening up that screw real quick. Let's see if you can see in there. It's kind of like being a gynecologist for a day. This is going to be staying. This is the fork that I'm going to be getting out, and I just pulled it straight down, so I think I should be able to get it the rest of the way. Maybe not. I was able to tug it out, and I can tell you the stitch length was frozen solid. It was not moving when I got this machine, and this bearing was just about welded into place. So hopefully once I get it all cleaned, the bearing will be able to move freely, and she will once again have a variated stitch length. But for right now, these are filthy, so I'm going to put them in their baggie. Now I want to get the connecting rod out here, and there's a little screw here and one on the opposite side. So I just sprayed some penetrating oil on it, that's why it's all wet looking. And there's a hole on top of the machine that you need to get. I can't even see it from this angle, but basically once I turn the camera off, I'll put myself in an angle where I can see. But I'm going to unscrew one side, hopefully. Again, let me get myself lined up so I can see it. And then I have to move this over and unscrew another screw that I cannot see, just hoping for the best to do it by feel. Okay, there is my oh so grimy connecting rod. And I should be able to pull this bracket off. Ah, fell down. That's okay. I can pick it up off the bottom here. That's the screw that I couldn't see that I was unscrewing. This is the one I could see. I'm just going to put all of this into its own little zippy bag. Okay, so I'm going to flip her around this way. And I need to get my biggest screwdriver here because I need to work on this screw. Let's see what I'm pointing at. This screw here that works the take-up lever. Another little pump of penetrating oil because that never hurt anybody. And let's give her a shot. Oops. There you go. And we're good. I do believe that letting it soak for a couple weeks, just totally saturated with oil, penetrating oil and everything, was a big help. Alright, so I got this out, lifting out my take-up lever, which is dirty, putting it away, and go on to the next step. Okay, so I need to unscrew this, which is very tight. See if I can get a little cloth on there, if that will help with the leverage. No. No, she do not want to move. Okay. A little more oil. Oops. A little squirtage of oil. I'm going to let that penetrate in for a minute and see if I can get this loosened up. I've got one of these things that's actually made to go over the end of a chair leg so it doesn't scratch the floor, but it's very soft and very grippy, and sometimes it really helps just to be able to have something like that to grab and turn. Oops, all of that, and I turned it back in. That's okay. Untwisting it, untwisting it. It's twisting the spring down here. Okay, yay, it's coming out now. It was a little bit stuck before. I want to make sure that I don't lose a washer. There's usually a washer right underneath this on top of that spring. Now that that is off, I'm just going to slide the spring up, and I do not see a washer anywhere. It's not inside here. It's not on the top here. Maybe they just did not have them in this model. That's okay. That is being a little bit obstinate. I got the screw out easily enough, but it's not wanting to slide. It's kind of glued to that bar there. So I'm just going to put a little oil there and go ahead and take off this screw here for the lifter lever. Well, I have my big screwdriver still on. Oh, I think this is too big. Hang on a second, let me change heads on here. Okay, got it started. Sometimes they are a little bit sticky. It's not coming out easily, but it is coming out. Okay, so I was able to pull this out, as gross as it is here. And the presser bar shaft, it's a sorted screw, and I'm going to go ahead and put all this into a zippy bag and change my battery. I'm so close to being done with the disassembly. So there is a screw that you access through this hole in the back here. But in order to get to it, you have to make sure that everything is at its lowest position, right here. So it took some penetrating oil, grit, and whatever, but I got this screw loose. So now, you can continue to unscrew for a little bit. I should be able to, well, you know what, I'm just going to unscrew this little screw all the way here. I should be able to tap this presser bar out. I know it's not just going to fall out and be a agreeable little guy, but I'm gonna see if I can flip her, if I can tap her and just see how it goes here. Nope, not gonna be easy. Okay, let me take this screw out all the way, spray her down with more penetrating oil, make sure everything is good down here, and start tapping. Okay, I think I've got it loosened enough that I can push it out. My problem is I needed to tap it from the top to get it free, and it's moving through here, but very slowly, because I didn't want to tap the bottom because I can misshape the sensitive area where the needle bar goes. Let me move that down. But I can't push it all the way through the bottom because I did not take off that one piece down there that is in the way. This is very, very dirty work here. And one of my challenges is doing things like this and getting my hands completely disgusting, but at the same time working the camera because my camera is white. I have a white Sony ZV-1 camera, and trying to make it so that I don't get grease all over the camera. It's kind of a losing battle. But got this off, only a couple more parts, and we'll be done. Okay, I'm loosening up this bracket to pull off. There's a post here on this rotating end of the shaft here. This comes off of it this way. So when I pull it off, the screw is on the very top, okay, on the right side. I'm saying this to myself so I don't put it back on this way because that would be bad. So, Marie, when you go to put it back on, it's going to look like this. Okay, and that is it. The main shaft stays on. I'm just turning the knob back there, and I don't know if you can see. Let me add some light here. This spins super freely. There's no problems there, but you know, everything is corroded. Not corroded, it's just grease. It's nasty, nasty grease. So there's going to be a whole lot of cleaning involved. But that is it for today. Hope you liked it. See you next time. Bye-bye.
I found an antique sewing machine, forgotten and alone. I touched her rusty wheels and knew I'd take her home. I brought her to my farm in an Amish neighborhood where simple living's valued. She'd be loved and understood. I put her on a treadle stand and coaxed her wheel to turn. I felt her joy and easing with my study and concern. I Cleaned her and I oiled her, showed her off to all my friends, repaired the hurts of years, and let her sew again.